Hey everybody, welcome back to another CPaaSAA Talk. And this time I'm excited to be here with Eddie and Charlie. And we're going to look a little bit at mobile world, which was a few weeks ago, and we're going to talk about network APIs, but we're especially going to talk about making money with or without network APIs. um, and I'm going to, and then we're going to look at what the industry is going to go through in the next couple of months as everything is coming together. So I want to start with you, Charlie. At Mobile World, I know Shabodi was demoing with one of your partners. I was curious because there was a lot of talk about the technology and network APIs and AI, but I'm really curious about, let's say, what you really took out of Mobile World talking to real customers and real partners. How did that work out?
It worked out really well. We were being showcased by our partner Orange in their booth, and we were able to demo how network APIs can effectively um, help an enterprise in manufacturing with various API invocations. And a lot of the traction or a lot of the interest around that was how simple those APIs were consumed by an application that could be written by the average developer. And for the most part, we've got a ton of leads as a result of that to follow up on. So my takeaway was there is a demand for this. Everyone's looking to generate extra revenue, and they have an asset called a network, and they want to be able to exploit that asset and monetize that.
Yeah, that makes sense. And Eddie, same question for you, basically. I don't think this was your first MWC,
No,
right?
no.
So how
Sometimes
did
I
it
wish it
work?
was my last. No, no. It was. I said to somebody a couple days ago when they asked me about how was MWC. I said this was probably one of the best MWCs I have ever attended in many, many years. It was amazingly well attended. Um, and I think the focus on what we were doing at the Open Gateway Pavilion was a massive positive focus from the GSMA. The amount of support we're getting from the GSMA in general was shocking. Not to say that they didn't support other things in the past. I'm just saying it was something that was really as a provider of these types of services, it was a pleasant surprise. It was really um, what you want to see, what you want to expect. I thought the show was really well done. I had over 40 plus meetings. I was back to back. Rob, I mean,
Yeah,
we were
I saw
trying to
you.
get together to actually
Yeah,
have a meeting. And I'm
yeah.
like, I'm busy. I only have 15 minutes. I can talk to you while I'm walking to another meeting, right? We were running from hall to hall. So yeah, no, it was great. As you know, I only focus on mobile operators. And so believe it or not, that's who these meetings were with, right? Was with the MNOs, with the groups and the people that are responsible for these types of services to expose their network attributes. So it was good. It was a good show, man. I was exhausted when I got back.
Yeah, I had the same. I had the same feeling, and I like. So for me, looking back, I think it was more a tech show than a telco show. And there's still, I mean, it's a lot of telcos, but
Hmm.
there's talk about what to do with that telco stuff, basically, right?
That's
And
right.
yes, we're
Hmm.
even in the open gateway zone. It's about network APIs and it's about open gateway and Kamara and all that
Hmm.
stuff. But it's really about what can you do with it and how can we make money.
Hmm.
I think, I mean, you've been in the identity business for a while. I mean, you've been around. Things are changing, um, and now you're sort of doing it on APIs and network APIs and a bunch of other APIs. Um, Tell me a little bit more about how that works. But really, what's the customer? What's the use case? Where's the money going to be made with that?
So is that for me or for Charlie?
No, for you first, Eddie.
Okay, so I supply the mobile network operator with a platform, right? With a full monetization platform. The challenge is we have 1,000 mobile network operators and only 33 have launched it. Don't need me to do it. Go to the GSMA site. You could see it. Maybe 47. But the other ones, the other operators coming up are my customers. Why? Because we provide them with the platform to help them expose their network APIs. The challenge is this: 97% of the revenue is coming out of network authentication APIs today, based on the S&P intelligence. $12.6 billion is being driven. 97% of that is being driven from network authentication APIs, 3% on NAS services. And we believe that you need to separate the two. NAS, quality on demand, MEC, etc. There is a place, but that is a connectivity solution. Network authentication is a business. That's what it is. It is a true business. It is the best in class authentication service that is going to replace or take that share shift that's happening now with OTP. So how did the carriers make money? Well, OTP is already generating money for them, but it's disappearing. So network authentication attributes, SIM swap, silent authentication, device status, roaming, all these different APIs, you're moving up the value chain. Because remember, OTP is one and done. They come for network number verify, they stay for device status, right? So they're buying more, they're consuming more. So there are true data points of 3.2 network consumption of network API attributes per API call. So they're consuming 3.2 different attributes. So it could be silent authentication, number verification, roaming status, or age verification, or whatever. But they're consuming that, so they're moving up the value chain. And that's how they make money. Because, and this is, I need to be crystal clear here. There is no place in the world to get SIM swap information other than the mobile network operator. Apple doesn't have it. Google doesn't have it. These magic SIM cards out there don't have it. The only place where that information sits is on the mobile network operator. And if you have the regulators out there telling these carriers that they need to support SIM swap, the carriers sit in the center of the universe, and they got to be able to expose that. And that's where Shush comes in to help them expose that, while being within the four walls and the security and all the trust that goes around that.
Well,
So,
I like that.
That's how they make money.
Yeah, and I like how this is. I mean, this is a sort of a known problem, right? That's getting a bit bigger, and that we've been trying to work on for years and years, and now there's better solutions. Now, Charlie, with Shabodi, you're doing something new. I guess you're in that 3% at the moment, but maybe that's the part that's going to grow a lot more in the coming years, right? So it's really the quality on demand part. But I like how you take that approach with a customer focus, right? So really looking at use cases, verticals, what's needed there, and now maybe there's a network API that can help. Can you explain that a little bit more?
Yeah, sure. So as you said, it's a small pot or small piece of the pie that is growing. We're seeing the demand for it because there's a lot of things that an enterprise or even a carrier, for that matter, would like to make money off of or be able to exploit. So one of the things that you had mentioned, quality on demand, this is a great example where if an enterprise has a ton of cameras out there, they're all consuming lots and lots of bandwidth. And basically, most of the time, the video that's being transmitted has nothing of interest in it. But you're consuming lots of bandwidth, and there's no good reason to actually do that. So if you had quality on demand, and you're able to, an application can invoke this, you can run your cameras at lower res, lower frequent frame rate. And when there's something of interest that pops into the field of view, you can then ask the network to increase the bandwidth to that particular camera, which will result in higher frame rate and so on and so forth. So enterprises seem to want to pay for this kind of service. They want to be able to deploy lots and lots of cameras. And to be honest with you, automation equals cameras. There's tons of cameras that are involved with automation. So it's not just surveillance and, facial recognition, stuff like that. But, it could be quality inspection. It could be a whole bunch of things. And it's just navigating. The more and more you automate, the more and more you got cameras. And the more and more you're going to need quality on demand. And you need to have the ability to dynamically adjust that this particular camera needs quality on demand right now, and this particular camera could run at a lower frame rate, lower resolution, right? And this is where we see an opportunity, not just for quality on demand, but mixing in quality on demand with some of the authentication services, right? Is this camera a legitimate camera? Is this, has it been swapped? Has it, et cetera, et cetera. So from an applications developer's point of view, they want to have the ability to invoke all these APIs in whatever business logic they want in order to, first of all, maximize the resources that the enterprise is consuming, but also increase the user experience or the experience of the overall network, right? So I am very optimistic that what we call network aware applications is going to be a very, very strong business going forward. And based on MWC interactions with lots of folks, they're starting to get the idea of a network aware application could be a game changer for their particular business.
I like how you're both sort of sitting between that telco, that platform, and the eventual customer, right? That has specific needs and wants basically their thing to be sorted. So how is that partnership with these telcos? How is that working out? What are the big challenges, or have they all been solved? Eddie, you want to go first?
Yeah, first of all, Charlie, thank you. That was the best example of a use case I've been asking for that I have heard in a long time. Perfect. Thank you so much. That was one of the better ones. Trust
And
me,
it
I've heard some doozies.
and it connects to AI, right? It connects to
Yeah,
this whole
no,
AI thing that's
it
coming
was
up.
definitely a well thought out use case. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. Um, so you asking about the carriers, how do we partner with the carriers? So the challenge with the mobile network operators is, like I said, we have previously discussed, there's no more money, right? $500 billion are spent on 5G networks and without a use case. There's nothing you could have done on 4G that you could do on 5G and vice versa, right? So, all right. But they spent all this money. The money's spent. So we created, like I said, we only work with mobile network operators. We deliver a platform and a solution for them that at no cost to the operator, because we're sharing in the revenue. We share in the revenue. But due to the fact that not only are we all talking to the same people, but there are some relationships that we have with demand on the demand side, what we call demand partners that can bring immediate revenue to the mobile network operator, right? The largest consumer of network APIs is Twilio. We have a global partnership that will be that by the time this gets released will be announced, that we have a global partnership with Twilio because they're trying to accelerate the move to network authentication APIs via their Verify product, right? With Authy, et cetera. It's strategic for them. It's strategic for a lot of companies out there, including one that just announced a couple of weeks ago called Google, right? They are moving off OTP. OTP was never designed for network security, ever. It was OTP, I don't know, a quick story. OTP came around about 2000, late 2000s. Why? Because we all kept losing our RSA and VeriSign dongles for the one-time passwords. And at $150 each, and we all had our phone, they'll just use SMS, right? Never designed to do your financial transactions, right? The largest SIM swap fraud case was $500 million that was done from 3 different SIM swaps, and they robbed all that cryptocurrency in an hour. But it's not about that $500 million that was stolen. It's about the lady in Canada that lost $190,000 of her life savings. It's about the fact that I was on Capitol Hill 2 weeks ago, and while I'm there, the SEC's Twitter account via a SIM swap got taken over, and they announced that Bitcoin was no longer going to be regulated, right? Until Bitcoin went up $3,000. I'm sitting in a congressman's office while this is going on, right? That's how bad SIM swap is, and that's what's going on in the world, right? So the only way to fix that is the mobile network operators have to launch. Now, The big guys have. And the big guys have put out big NEFs and they put out SCEFs that allow quality on demand and MEC, but there's still 900 plus operators that have nothing and they don't know where to go. And that's why companies such as Shush is there to provide them with a solution at no cost to them. So, and bringing the demand partners along, which will bring them revenue as quick as day one as you can get, right? You don't want to go out on a limb there, right? But as quick as possible, so they can start justifying this business line, right? Because SMS OTP, someone said during Mobile World Congress, and I know you were there and heard it too. Within 2 years, OTP is dead. And I said, I don't like taking bets like that, but that's what it looks like. It really does. Especially now that Google is moving,
Yeah, it's like a
off
free
of
fall.
OTP.
It's a free
Right?
fall, right, for it.
It-
Congratulations on
well,
that deal with Twilio. I mean,
thank you.
that's massive. That's really
That
well.
is. Well, they want to accelerate the market and they see it. They see the need. They're getting requests because here's what's happening. The share shift is already happening right now because you're seeing more and more email authentication. You're seeing more and more one-time password calls come over email, right? You're seeing it today. It's happening, right? So you got the OTT apps, you got the email, and then you got the multi-factor, right? Brands are moving between AIT and all the fraud that's on SMS. They are finding different ways to deliver this authentication, and they are going to move. But the challenge the mobile operators have is they have to deliver. And what we like to say, over at Sushi, from sign of contract to making revenue is 90 days. We have gotten the platform, I kid you not, we have gotten the platform installed and installed up to network integration because there's a network integration piece, but at least installed within the carrier cloud or any cloud. We're cloud agnostic, it doesn't matter, in less than 4 hours.
Wow.
That's the crazy. My guys are unbelievable. I don't believe it half the time. I think they
But
lie to me.
that's a huge change. And Charlie, you just mentioned the cameras that are getting more and more important, right? With AI. I can't imagine how fast that is moving. It feels like we're in the middle of a perfect storm, right? With all these things that are happening. So same question for you. How does it work for you in the partnership with the operators that you end of the day need to provide that quality on demand capability?
Yeah, so it's a little similar. We may not be able to do everything in 4 hours, but basically we either consume the NEFs or SCEFs that the operator provides, and then we then provide simplified APIs on there that application can consume. So the money really is coming from the telcos point of view, from the enterprises, whether it's manufacturing, a university campus, or what have you. There is tons of network aware applications that are required at that level where the carriers can actually monetize and make more money. Because right now, especially in some parts of the world, private networks are everywhere. And that's a huge money loss for carriers, right? So they need to be able to provide the services, the network services, into those areas. Like I said, whether it's a university campus, a manufacturing site, or ports and logistics, et cetera. But again, everything that those organizations need is highly automated. And once again, automation equals cameras in my mind. I know I'm simplifying it a little bit, but at the end of the day, for the analytics to work properly, you need high res, high frame rate video streams. And unless you start invoking network services like quality on demand or latency or what have you, you're always going to have possibly a high failure rate with regards to mismatching things. So for an enterprise or what have you, they need to be able to rely on the one thing that carriers provide that a lot of people, it's a robust, pervasive network, right? And that's something that the carriers need to leverage and monetize, because a private network isn't necessarily as pervasive and secure and what have you. And a carrier's network is much, much more secure.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting to think about really how fast it's moving, right? So next year, Mobile World 2026. Imagine we're going again. Um, what does success look like for the two of you? Eddie, what does success look like a year from now? Where do you want to be with all this?
It doesn't take a lot. And I mean that sincerely. It's the as long as the mobile network operators keep accelerating the rollout of these types of services, regard if it's network authentication or they went and bought a big huge NEF and a SCEF, and they still need network authentication, and they still need NAS or connectivity services, right? I truly believe that they both coexist. We can coexist. So if a network operator said, "Well, I'm just going to buy an F and a SCEF," well, they still need a monetization platform for either service, right? So I think next year we have an internal goal of X number of carriers. I don't want to say the number, but yeah. So if I walk into next year Mobile World Congress with a nice laundry list of network operators that are connected up live making money, that will be my success.
Sounds good. And Charlie, for Shabodi, you demoed with one operator at this Mobile World, Orange. What's the goal for next year?
Well, it's very similar to Eddie's, right? It's a certain amount of carriers that are engaged with us and working with us and making money with us. So, yeah, from a high level, that's exactly the same goals that Eddie has. Once again, our focus is on the enabling the applications to consume the network services so that they have a better customer experience or what have you. But at the end of the day, for us in 2026, we'd like to have X number of carriers, as Eddie says, under our belts making money.
Mm-hmm. It's all about making money. It's stop.
Yeah.
We got to stop this whole idea of how do we get money out of the carrier's pocket and put it into my pocket. I'm trying to figure. My job is to get the money out of the aggregator brand enterprises pocket and put it back into the carrier's pocket, because this is the first time, and this is what a lot of people need to grasp. This is the first time that carriers are going to allow CPNI data outside their four walls. So you got to be vetted. You want to that that's my argument against marketplaces, because Eddie sitting in his backyard with his credit card should not be allowed to be accessing carrier not only network attributes but CPNI data from a mobile network operator without being completely and totally vetted, right? You need to be completely vetted, right? But this is the first time they're allowing that.
Mhm.
So that whole vetting and getting them up, but you got to protect the network, you got to protect the data, and you got to let them make money because it's their network. They spent the money, and we used to have this argument over about RCS, and I used to say this was my famous line: until you build a multi-billion-dollar, 30, $40 billion network, $100 billion network, and spend billions of dollars every year maintaining that network and maintaining those subscribers, you don't have a say. Because they used
Mhm.
to say, well, we should set pricing. No, you don't set pricing. The mobile network does, because they built the network, they have the subscribers, and they maintain it, right? So now let's put them back into the center of the universe, because that's where they belong, and let them make some money off this information, which is what they should be doing.
Well, that sounds good. That sounds like a great ambition for the next couple of months. And thank you guys for being here, talking about this. I found it very enlightening. Congratulations again, Eddie, with that
Thank you.
little announcement that you just made.
Mhm.
Exciting times, and I look forward
Yeah.
to catching up again in a couple of months to see how things are going. Thanks.
Yeah. Look forward to it. Thank you.